So how was the second day of returning back to work?
I mean, it wasn't about second day of returning.
Not for us, for them. We have been working every day.
Yeah, exactly.
For the rest of the world, yesterday was day one of returning to work or beginning work for 2026. Let us know in the comment section. We're streaming live on YouTube via News Central TV. Thank you for joining us this morning. You're very welcome to Breakfast Central. My name is Olive Emodi.
And I'm Benga Borough. Welcome to the best breakfast show in the whole of West Africa. Yes.
Come on.
And I am Benga Borough. Sit back, relax, and enjoy what we've got in store for you.
I'm Joe Hansen, welcoming you to Tuesday's edition. It's day 2 for us, and like Olive did ask, it's day 2 for those who just resumed work. Hopefully they will get it right. I understand that the oblique could still be in the system. It takes a long time to detox before you let it go.
I think at the end of this week, almost every IJGB should have returned back to sender.
Yeah, some of them
what are the roads like?
What are the roads?
They're not as
roads
congested, actually. They're still free.
They're fair.
They're still relatively free.
That's
at least in Lagos.
Yeah, and congratulations to the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
That's like
did a very good one.
That's like
against the Mambas.
I think that's our first wake-up conversation.
Against the Mambas, yes.
Yeah.
Even after the huge monetary promise.
It's always good. You know, we've talked about this on Breakfast Show before. If you watch National Geographic, you would always notice that the eagles pick up the snakes for a meal. Yesterday, the pharaohs of Egypt played the squirrels of Benin, and they lost. Yes, they changed their name from squirrels to cheetahs, but it still didn't help them. They need a lion that can roar.
Of course, if we didn't start,
Mohamed did a great job as well.
Yeah, indomitable lions of Cameroon.
Fantastic
job. You need elephants of Cote d'Ivoire. What do you mean by squirrels of Benin?
No, but we must really thank our guys. They showed up and they showed out. It was a good game.
But there was
Osimhen was trending again.
Yeah, there was I mean, that's very unprofessional. I know we all get heated and emotions.
And some people are like, well, Osimhen does this in all his games.
No. You don't disrespect your captain. His captain was trying to calm him down. You don't shout on your teammates, regardless of what happens. It's disrespectful. And then you don't request to be substituted.
It is not your call to make unless
you're throwing tantrums.
You are unwell.
So, no.
Well,
yeah. It's a problem, and that comes with leadership. It's hard, especially when you have the stars hovering over you and you're putting on a very big shoulder. It's hard for you to actually control what you do at that point in time. So maybe this is where the coach steps in. And that's why I like the likes of Westerhoff back then, if you were an astute follower of Nigerian football. Those who played under Westerhoff talk about Sunday Olise, Augustine Eguavoen.
He made leaders. Everybody was like a captain.
Everybody was like a captain. And if you listen to the likes of Austin Jeje Okocha, Fididi George, they will tell you that Westerhoff was not just a coach, he was a father figure to them.
Stephen Keshi.
And that's what matters, because what matters is you have a coach who doesn't only teach you, you're not under his tutelage in terms of football and tactics and how he tells you to play, but you're also being guided on how to live your life. I mean, there was an instance, one of the stories I heard, one of the players said, he had made money. And he had told Westerhoff, listen, he wants to splash the money on this.
I think it's Daniel Mokashi.
Yeah, you remember. And he told him, no, listen, come, sit down. And that's the kind of thing I think Osimhen needs at this point. We live in a world where everyone is frivolous, everyone is showing off. Social media wasn't there then, it's here now, so you need to put up a lot of show off. So maybe, I don't think Chile has that father figure in him. I don't even think
he's a young coach, but you should talk to him in order to keep the team spirit. Yeah. And even at the press conference yesterday, Osimhen still walked out when Lukman was speaking.
If I hear you correctly, I think what you're alluding to is you feel that his celebrity status
is getting to his head.
Yeah. I mean, it gets to everybody, especially all footballers. Diego Maradona, the late Diego Maradona, at some point had that issue as well. You know, he was world #1 in quotes. If they were ranking you along Cassius Clay back then, Muhammad Ali, and then you had your ears pierced, the girls were coming around you and so on. It was
Triple H don't meet piercing, no?
No, now I'm just
these things get into your head. I get. So I mean, going forward, I think the coach would, I mean, they're boys and they're men. People step out on line sometimes. I just hope Osimhen is man enough to apologize to Lookman, because Lookman in the press conference, he doesn't have issues with him. He says a leader,
he's
a great player.
Level-headed player.
Yeah, very level-headed.
I don't know if we have tweets about the game.
Yeah.
from
It's part of our
yesterday.
wake-up conversation. I mean, we're celebrating the boys.
I mean, since we already started talking about
from.
it.
That's what we should start from. I
Yeah.
think it's good to open the show on a very bright note, because we're the
with good
brightest
news.
breakfast show on television.
Right.
Congratulations to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The Mozambican national team had thought that it was going to be a walk in the park. Apparently, they thought that when they come, I mean, that's the scene where Victor Osimhen had lost it. You know.
He said, "No, try him again."
You know, I really don't get it. I mean,
And if you
Osimhen
see the
shouts
build-up
at
before, I mean, it wasn't easy for him to make a pass to the left, and he was trying his best. He had earlier given you an assist. He scored 2 goals in that game, so two assists. So why are you behaving like this?
So,
I mean, we're leading. The team spirit is great. The team is playing well, and then you just start all those tantrums to your teammate. He's not your what's the word?
it's not your
subordinate.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't talk to people like
But
that.
look man.
You should take a lesson from our
Breakfast
leader,
Central.
Johansson. You will never even know that he's our leader.
I beg.
You know, just like very meek. Meek. Only the meek shall inherit the earth.
But you know, Ademola Lookman was very gracious about it.
Let's segue away from.
I saw a clip just mentioned that he was very gracious about it, even when he was asked about it. I saw a video where he said, you know, it's just football. He's still my brother.
Yes.
And that's the spirit of sportsmanship that we should embrace, where we realize it is just a game. Yes, emotions can get flared up, but we should never let it go beyond the pitch. Let's take a few tweets to celebrate our Super Eagles. Congratulations, Nigeria. Congratulations, Super Eagles. Qualification for the AFCON quarterfinals sealed again, and again. The Super Eagles of Nigeria have soared silently, silencing every doubter and showing exactly how it's done. The mission continues. Now it's time to lock in, focus, and conquer the next challenge, one match at a time. Onward, Eagles. Yes, that's the first tweet. Nigeria won, but instead of everyone celebrating, people are bothered about Osimhen shouting at Lookman. People always like to create something out of nothing. Osimhen scored 2 goals. You can't write him off just because he shouted.
Well,
we understand that.
You can't be disrespecting your teammates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We also have to talk about the technicalities of the game, because on the day they play a great game and everything works out well, we give them all the hype. So they should take criticism as graciously as they take compliments. Drake United says, that goal was created by Iwobi. His passes are so good. Yes, I did see people saying we should give him
the powerhouse of this team.
Stellar performance yesterday.
What a performance. They should be at the World Cup.
Yes, let's cap substitutes DRC for Nigeria. They fielded 3 ineligible players.
They said it's dead on arrival. It's not going to happen.
Damn.
It's not going to happen.
And in 4 years' time, we'll be 4 years old.
But we must say this. The Super Eagles are putting up a fantastic display out there in Morocco. We do hope that they continue this way, because being in the quarterfinals simply means that the higher you climb, the stakes become higher.
And you'll be meeting quality teams.
Quality teams. I mean, did you see what Egypt did yesterday?
Yes. So we're likely going to play the winner between DRC and Algeria. Who do you guys want?
Well,
remember, we lost the World Cup playoff spot to DRC. So it will be a good grudge and revenge match.
You see, the mindset Nigerians used to have that DRC, they are the minnows. They're only known for Makosa, whining waist, Zelayu. These guys,
they wind their ways to the World Cup.
They've done Makosa. They've wound the waist.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Even Sepp Blatter at some point back then was moved to join them. But then again, on a serious note, I think the team just needs to sit down and talk to themselves, whatever issues they had, fracas, whatever, sort it out. Use the same spirit in which you approach the Mozambique game. Use it against whether it's Algeria or DRC.
Yeah, we don't care. Bring them on.
Bring them on.
We're Super Eagles of Nigeria.
I'm almost 100% sure that they've squashed the issues and we are the ones just trashing it out on social media and on television.
Olive,
let's hope so.
So let me just add this before we move to our next story. The Super Eagles, all through time and generations, have always been known to have a leader. In short, at some point in the Super Eagles, many had said that the Super Eagles, if you're joining the national team, you have to be ready to join the cult. It was viewed as an occultic thing because why? There was always a captain that whenever he speaks, everybody will keep quiet. If you talk about Segun Odegbami from his old times, he was a figure that whenever he talks, people would they'll keep quiet. So many other names. But if you bring it down to our time, not too long ago, you had some figures that whenever they are on the team, you would respect them. Anyway, people still refer to the Atlanta 96 team as one of the best teams regardless. But what made them good was that they had a leader or leaders on that team. Whether it was Bonfrey Joe or the guy they called Milo Norwich, our former coach. You remember that they had Milutinovic. Remember that they had a very strong team. But then again, we must say that the Super Eagles, congratulations.
They really made us proud.
Do not lose focus.
The reward for good work is more work.
It's more work, but they shouldn't lose focus.
Lukman, well, he's leader. He's created so many chances and scored so many goals in this competition. 3 goals, 3 assists. He's a man to watch out for. And come to think of it, that the Premier League clubs were slacking on tapping on He's
him.
a former African Footballer of the Year.
Yeah.
And this goal was superb by Akko.
A sweet one.
That goal, these are the kind of goals you score and you tell the keeper, triumph. You say triumph, you know, and so on.
Let's move away
Nwabali was on holiday yesterday.
Oh, Nwabali, did he play that game?
We didn't even.
No, I didn't see him.
We saw him.
It was a passenger.
I heard he was making phone calls to his family while the game was on.
Also because the Mozambicans, even though they promised them $9,000, imagine that motivation was not enough for them, the president.
Before we move to the next story on YouTube, Mokuye Chukwuemeka says, good morning, congratulations to Super Eagles. Osimhen needs to work on his character, major issue for him. And we are playing the best football we have ever witnessed in a long time. All right, let's now move on from the sports itself to the politics or the sports of politics.
The sports of politics.
The sports of politics, because it would seem that here the captain, we're not quite sure who the captain is.
After a week, when speaking to the traditional ruler, he said, "Leave us to our own game."
Yeah, he said
that
politics is a game.
Yes.
Okay.
Play our game.
Well, it would seem that there is
game.
fire on the mountain, rather. APC National Secretary Ajibola Basiru has hit back at the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, asking him to resign his ministerial position and, in his words, face his obsession with Rivers State politics. Bashiru's response came in a personally signed statement on Monday after Wike, during a thank you visit to Oyibo local government area of Rivers State, warned him to stay away from Rivers politics and accused him of eyeing the state's 600 billion naira allocation. Basiru, who had earlier openly backed Governor Siminalayi Fubara in the ongoing feud with Wike, said he was neither intimidated nor interested in Rivers funds, insisting that his public record shows integrity. He further argued that Wike has no locus to interfere in APC matters because he is not a member of the ruling party, adding that as a national secretary, he has the authority to engage in party affairs nationwide, not only in Osun State. Basiru also cautioned APC South Chairman Victor Giadom against using derogatory language toward any governor, stressing that party officials should not take sides in crisis. According to Basiru, he has confronted military dictatorship in the past and cannot be bullied by anybody, no matter how highly placed. The latest exchange deepens the ongoing political tensions surrounding Rivers State. Now let's start to unpack the various layers of this conversation. First, there was the disrespect to Governor Siminalayi Fubara when he was being referred to as a certain governor, the so-called governor of Rivers State. We can see the APC National Secretary who stood up and who continues to stand up for Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Governor Sim Fubara joined the All Progressives Congress and, just like his predecessor, declared support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Former Governor Nyesom Wike, the current minister of the FCT, however, does not seem to think that this is enough to score points, as he says that that's not a yardstick to guarantee his automatic return for a second tenure. In fact, he believes that the mistake they made the first time should not be repeated again this second time. And as you know, from the inferences, people would see that he's speaking invariably against Governor Sim Fubara from coming back for a second time. Let's take a look at this video and then we'll come back to share some more thoughts.
Let me warn those who come to Rivers State because you have heard about 600 billion. You come here, you collect, and you open your mouth, you talk anyhow. I want to say it. You know, when you are doing something for the interest of everybody, some people will come out to make sure those things don't work. I say it here, Victor, I want to say it here. Take this message. Tell your National Secretary, leave Rivers State alone. Leave Rivers State alone. Go and ask those who have tried it before. Go and ask those who have tried it before. Kapinta, Birikila, Owa Pondole Dole, Kamanga, Wukandole, Owa Pondole Dole, Kapinta, Birikila, Owa Pondole Dole, Kamanga, Wukandole, Owa Pondole Dole, Kapinta, Birikila, Owa Pondole Dole, Kamanga, Wukandole, Owa Pondole Dole. Don't take our support from Mr. President for granted. You have to be careful the statement you make. You have to be careful. Today, you are enjoying in Osun. You don't know those who did the work. You are opening your mouth to talk about Rivers State. Anything you see, take it. Anything you see, what? Take it.
Agreement is agreement, yo. Agreement is agreement, yo. Without reaching for settlement, you can't tell me nonsense. Agreement is agreement.
Of Governor Fubara to the APC, the South-South geopolitical zone made a first. That is the first zone that has all APC governors in the zone. So I congratulate our governor. I congratulate our party because when the governor is doing well, it's symbol that our party is doing well. But the only way you can compensate the governor, compensate our party, people of Rivers State, is to continue to vote for our party, the APC, in all elections. APC. Very massive in Rivers State.
Well, that cannot be made up. It is the Nollywood script. You know, politics has now become a Nollywood script, and it's become more entertainment. And it just feels like there are different kinds of worms that are starting to get open.
But it does have serious implications for people's lives. And I can see the entertainment value and the comedic things, but I mean, governance is about people's lives, and to see it on this stage, it's
really
almost
sad.
like theater, makes it really, really sad. And I must commend the APC National Secretary for that statement that he put out, because yesterday we also spoke about it with our guest, that the FCT minister might be distracted, and in 3, 2, 1, just watch him call another media chat to address him today, because we've seen that pattern. Anytime there's a criticism against the FCT minister, he calls for a media conference, and he hit the nail on the head. Please, let's be respectful. Let's mind our language. And if you are so vested in Rivers State politics, why don't you resign your appointment as FCT minister and then head to Rivers State and face politics squarely? The Constitution cannot allow you to do a third term. You've done your term, 2 terms as governors. If your predecessor was breathing down your neck like this, would you have succeeded as governor? Why is it such an obsession So I agree with the National Secretary, APC National Secretary statement. And his job is suffering in Abuja. People are complaining about litter and garbage and the lack of street lights. So it's not about building bridges in satellite towns and roads. There's more to governance than that.
Well, there's a lot to unpack in this story. First off, let's start off by saying the number one beneficiary of this fracas, or you rather call it crisis, political crisis in Rivers State, is the number one citizen, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
It's a beautiful bride. People are fighting to support him.
Because the state governor has moved to his party and has guaranteed him votes. The
Even though he can
FCT
only get
minister,
one vote.
who is in the
Or give
opposition
one
party, has also guaranteed the president that he would get his vote. So the president is sitting pretty. He's fine. He's good. However, on the other hand, the FCT minister said if he allows the governor to win the second term, he will be politically incapacitated. Well, it's starting to look that way, that he's politically becoming incapacitated, whether you like it or not. And the reason is very clear. The National Secretary is telling you nothing but the truth. You cannot, in the same breath of saying that you want to support Mr. President, in other words, you are supporting the APC, still use that same energy to destabilize the APC from at home. And one thing people need to understand is when it comes to state politics, it's quite different from national politics, whether you like it or not. And then you have a governor in the state whom was, as it were, arm twisted for 6 months. And now it's like he's suddenly gotten his freedom and he wants to fly. And he's ready to fly. I also thought that INEC said there's a timetable for campaigns. Why is the FCT minister breaking the law and going on campaigns in different
he did. He calls it a
so
thank you
forth?
tour.
So
but what happens there? Exactly. It's just
it's a
semantics.
It's a guise, yes.
Yeah.
I think by now INEC should release a statement to make it clear that, listen, this is not time to heat up the polity. This is not time to engage in political campaigns because people need to focus on governance.
But the framers of our constitution
made
a mistake by there's no punitive measures for flouting the electoral rules on
we can say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, what may I see here, we are witnessing a gladiator, or gladiator is a spectacle, where you have an Alfonso Proximo taking on, what's his name again? Maximus Derelius. This is what we're going to see now. So it's a gladiator. We're seeing them go hand in hand. It's about who plays the cards well.
At the end of the day, what is the position of the people, and where do the people? That's what I want.
I think the Rivers people are enjoying
Where the
it.
people?
I think they're enjoying.
No, they're not enjoying. I don't think they are enjoying.
I think they are.
I mean, we can laugh about it on social media. We can laugh when Governor Wike's band and Governor Sim's band have turned politics into entertainment. But the truth is, it's not in any way, shape, or form funny. It's embarrassing what we've turned politics and leadership into, and governance. Governor Nyesom Wike needs to decide whether he's a member of the People's Democratic Party or he's a member of the APC. You can't be fighting in the PDP and fighting in the APC at the same time. You need to choose and face one place. Besides, he has a portfolio. He's the minister of the FCT. The FCT has a lot of work to be done. You can't be manning your own home and manning another person's home. It really, really reeks of having too much time on one's hands and not knowing what to do with it.
Absolutely. Very well said.
As we speak, Olive, well said. There are 3 ministers now, Nigerians should take note, that are highly and heavily distracted from doing their jobs
by their gubernatorial
as
ambitions.
Ministers. Number 1, the recent one we just heard, the Minister of Health, Pate, we hear he's planning to run for Bauchi governorship. Well,
the Minister
he hasn't come out to say so. We have the Minister of Power,
who we hear is running,
whom we're also going to discuss today, because some monies have been missing in his ministry. EFCC, I hope they are listening and they are watching. And then you now have the FCT minister who should be focusing on what he's doing, but he's thinking of how to install someone in a state.
I want to take some comments from YouTube, then we'll go on X to get what Nigerians are saying. Mokuye Chukwemeka says, let him go contest as governor again. Wike is just a loud, uncouth person. Well, it's what many Nigerians like is trying to stay relevant. Lanre Oloyede says, Nigerian politics irritates me to my bone marrow. No right-thinking person will tolerate what Wike is doing in Nigeria's politics today. Nothing interests me in this country. I'm so sorry, Lanre. And Mokunye goes on to say, what Wike wants to be the Tinubu of River State. The people are divided. Many of them are political jobbers who wait for peanuts from Wike to survive. Let's now head to X and see what Nigerians are saying. Remember, you can keep your comments coming on YouTube. We're streaming live at News Central Live on YouTube. Keep your comments coming. Adekunle Oderinde says, when he was destabilizing PDP, Mr. President said it gives him joy to see opposition in disarray. And APC were enjoying the show of shame until he brought the disarray to APC. Now they can't swallow their own bitter pill.
The chicken has come home to roost.
Karma really worked fast. Tell Mr. President to sack Wike if he does not resign and you don't like the double man marking he's doing in River State. Chebi's employer is there watching him fight everyone, especially his party. Does it mean he has the support of Mr. President? If yes, then APC Secretary should better go and find another fight. If not, he will lose this fight. Adekunle says.
This double man marking is Sergio Ramos.
What's Sergio Ramos? He's a defender. I think he's playing a box-to-box midfielder right now. So he's trying to. He's a Declan Rice. He's trying to go forward, come back. Where do you go to?
Yeneba. Wicket threading on a landmine. Those core APC guys will just smoke him. He's beginning to touch Tinubu's structure. That's very rich from someone who doesn't like his structure being tampered with. The praise singers and spectators are part of this issue, 200%. Your oppressors are gloating and we are praise singing. We aren't ready yet. That speaks to the weaponization of poverty. People are poor and will sell their integrity to do whatever to make money.
The band needs to make some money. Exactly.
Remember, pride is before you fall. I also think if President Tinubu didn't have a plan for him before, then he definitely has one now. I don't know, but I feel this guy's political collapse will be spectacular. That's what Superguna says. Wike is picking an easier opponent. He should have picked on Hope Uzodinma, who is orchestrating his downfall. That's not to say Basiru won't deal with him vehemently. Whom the gods want to punish, they first run. Anyway.
And back to the issue of the band.
Okay, we have one more.
Yeah.
I'd expected this marriage of convenience between Nyesom Wike and the APC to last a little longer. It's too early for the unwholesome union to be dissolved. Both the APC National Secretary, Senator Ajibola Basiru, and the FCT Minister should calm down for now. Interesting.
Okay. Well, back to the issue of bands. I mean, they're doing an honest job and they're gainfully employed, so I don't have any issues with it. If politicians want to use their services for entertainment value, they can. It's better than bandits, isn't it?
Wow, I see what you did there. So the band is better than bandits. That's better for us to have bandits than have bandits.
Well, that's a good point.
I mean, you can head on YouTube. We're streaming live. News Central TV is the website. News Central TV Live is where we're streaming. And react to any of the stories. We've spoken about Nyesom Wike. We've spoken about a couple of the stories. And we'll be talking on so much more during the course of the show. But now let's share with you what our headlines are this morning. Our top stories this morning on Breakfast Central. Global protest erupts against U.S. attack on Venezuela. Whistleblower Eme Namdi breaks silence after leaving solitary confinement. 128 billion naira not missing under me. Bayo Adelabu, Minister of Power, refutes corruption allegations. I'll be looking at remarkable milestones for us here at News Central as we inaugurate our editorial board. Congratulations to the members of the board. The newspaper front pages will be reviewed this morning. Join us for all these and more.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. The federal government has responded to the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project set up with a pushback against calls to probe an alleged disappearance of 128 billion naira from the Ministry of Power and the Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading Company, NBET. SIRAP had asked President Bola Tinubu to order an investigation pointing to an audit report that raised red flags about how money was handled in the power sector. But the Ministry of Power says the report relates to 2022, before the current administration came into office and before the minister, Adebayo Adelabu, was appointed in August 2023. Is this a tenable excuse by the Ministry of Power? Let's hear from our guest, who is a former Chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Dr. Sam Amadi. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Amadi, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central once again.
Thank you. Good morning.
Now, Dr. Amadi, does the fact that the alleged missing funds date back to 2022, before this administration started, remove the responsibility of the current administration to investigate, or does accountability transcend administrations? The fact that it didn't happen under this government, does it mean we should just look the other way and go on with business as usual?
Well, thank you for having me again. Accountability does not, begin and end with any administration, but culpability and guilt does. So what the ministry would do, or ought to do, is to provide, because this is a ministry activity, and we talk about, systems being transcending each administration. So they inherited the books, they inherited transactions, so they're going to explain what they know from the records, that look, this is actually how the money was spent, this is what actually happened. Yes, if there's now culpability or guilt, then they can escape by saying, well, this corruption or this inefficiency or this error didn't happen while we're there. So the idea here is to exculpate yourself, which is proper, because if you're not there, they couldn't have, maybe exercised oversight. It couldn't have probably stopped whatever corruption took place. But you can account, okay, from our records, this is actually what we have. This is what happened. This is how this money was accounted for or not accounted for. So accountability as explanation of set of acts or set of facts is not tied to when I resumed. So if you are into an office and there are records of things that happened in the past, you bear responsibility to explain to the public what the records show and what the institutional memory recalls. But you can then say, unfortunately, this is bad, but we're not here, and so I cannot take blame for what I was not in any position to change or to mitigate or ameliorate or stop, prevent. So that's the way it should be, and not to say, you know what, it didn't happen, that was bingo, that's the end.
Well, let's get a clear picture of what some of these accusations are. Now, according to excerpts from the Auditor General's report cited by SERAP, the Ministry of Power allegedly failed to account for over 4.4 billion naira transferred to the Mambila, Zungeru, and the Kashimbila project accounts with no evidence of how these funds were expended. Then the report also flagged 95.4 billion naira paid to contractors without documentation or proof that the projects were executed, as well as 33.5 million naira spent on foreign travels without approvals from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation or the head of civil service. There are other questionable expenditures that were highlighted, and they were up to over 230 million naira spent on the GIGMIS platform. Then there was also 282 million naira in non-personal advances allegedly exceeding statutory thresholds and multiple payments lacking approvals or supporting records. What does this tell us? The gravity of these allegations, this, the balance, the reports, the lack of balanced reporting we're seeing here from them, or lack of explanation. What does the gravity of these offenses or these accusations tell us about the ministry?
Okay, first, let's start. I used to be a chief executive of a major parastatal. So I understand, the essence of, and this is where the system doesn't work. The idea of the general's accounts is that, of course, each department of government has obligation to conduct its own audits and obligation to submit its audit to both the executive branch, the office of the Minister of the Accountant General of the Federation, as well as to the National Assembly for oversight. Now, what the Auditor General does is to come and look at those books and verify, flag payment or transactions that either are not properly supported by documentation or above approval levels, or basically unaccounted for, which is a presumption that they are either fictitious or embezzlement, all kinds of corruption. So the report now forms a basis for multiple action. First, it gives the agency or the person or the ministry the opportunity to provide further evidence and explain. So it's not every item, for example, that necessarily equates to, maybe embezzlement or fraudulent transactions. Some of them can be activities that need to be explained with further documentation. So it triggers the National Assembly's job is to use those reports to request and trigger as oversight response. So come and meet these allegations one by one. And the ministry's job at that point is to provide answers to those questions. They must provide. So the first trigger and the first level of failure is National Assembly that has no incentive, no appetite, and perhaps no knowledge, not enough knowledge about these processes. So they are the ones who will first say, get to do this, explain this to us. So when they now explain, you discover that maybe some of them are explainable. The second issue here is some of these allegations border on possible infringement of the Public Procurement Act and the Financial Services Act, rules of financial conduct in the public sector. So, for example, approvals beyond their level of your, remit, both administrative offenses that can lead to suspension, and firing of civil servants, and also can trigger criminal prosecution for misprocurement. Again, some of them border on maybe frivolous payments. Look at Mambila, for example. It could be a slush fund. It could be an avenue to put away government, to steal government funds, in the sense that you say we have paid X to Mambila, but I don't prepare to it. There's not enough documentation what was used for. So it calls for an audit of the Mambila, typical of these projects.
All right, let's put a pause on Mambila. We'll go on a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll allow you to complete your thoughts in that regard.
Welcome back. You're still watching Breakfast Central, and we're taking a look at a very, very important story concerning transparency and accountability in Nigeria's power sector. Our guest who's joining us is former chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Dr. Sam Amadi, joins us. Thanks for still staying with us after the break. Now, you were talking about the missing funds. Oliver asked a question, and we want you to complete.
I think you particularly stopped at the Mambila project. You were talking about that.
Please go ahead before I have another question for you.
Okay, sure. Thanks for having me back. Okay, so the point I was making is that Mambila has been on the papers for long, and usually these kind of big projects. I remember in Boston, when I was a graduate student at Harvard, I used to study about what they call the big dig, a massive project that overrun time, deadlines, budgets. And so you get to see that maybe at some point those projects becomes slush fund, becomes conduits for maybe misappropriating public finance. So with this kind of citation on Mambila, you would expect a National Assembly, the Power Committee, to do a real oversight. So, okay, call in the papers. It's easy. Who approved this? Maybe if I approved. How did the money travel? The money was sent, who received it? Okay, show us what the money is for. By the way, before the ministry would have, it don't just transfer money. There would have been some projects designed, there would have been project implementation phase, and then there would have been some quantified cost, and then you'd have gone to Federal Executive Council, get approval, and then the money in the budget was tagged to it, and then the budget is released, and then you follow procedure and transfer. And the ministry itself will not just transfer money. They don't keep the money. So it will still go through a certain federal government bureaucracy. So the question is, surface all this procedure, then you'll be able to know that maybe this is a simple case of inadequate documentation, and everything went well, the projects were executed as planned and budgeted for, or this is a case of money missing and not being used. So essentially, you use Mambila to cover fund. And again, let's not forget, these guys, when the minister said, whoa, we just came to power, he's right. Maybe it wasn't this happened before he became minister, or before President Maduro became president. But this same civil servants, the same director. So it's the institutional continuity also matters for memory as well as for fraud. So it's not just the guys who may have incentive to cover their track are not just the political appointee, the minister, the president, or whoever came with the Tinubu administration, but also civil servants who are always at the heart of any public sector scam or fraudulent project. So yes, you would say, oh, we're not there, but the civil servants were there. The guys who authorized, who approved, who requested, who minuted, who recommended maybe any use of fund are still actors in that sector, in that ministry, or in the bigger government. So it calls for, serious action. And again, the problem with what SERAP does is that it goes to court, it seeks FOI, and then, gets to the media, and then we comment about it. But there's no anchor that touches on execution, sanction. So EFCC is not going to pick this up and run with it. And therefore, there's a gap. So at the end of the day, perhaps not much of the needle is moved by all this.
I mean, you just highlighted that the EFCC will not pick this up. It's quite alarming and quite shocking that there are more than many, or say many cases that the EFCC needs to focus on. But unfortunately, the EFCC isn't doing so. Let's also look at this. Does it bother on the fact that the said 2022 annual report of the Auditor General of the Federation was only published on September 9, 2025? So 2022, 23, 24, 25. So
absolutely,
isn't this a coincidence? And shouldn't this call for a national observation where everyone at this moment, including the Minister of Power, should be able to address Nigerians, and the EFCC, the ICPC, everyone should swoop in and solve this quest?
I agree with you. I mean, that's the problem. Okay, now look, corruption is not just about figuring out individuals and prosecuting them. Corruption is first systemic, it's structural, it's institutional, and the idea is first prevention. And what we learn is publicity is, they say sunshine is security. So if the whole FOI law, now this is the point, the FOI law, the first section of the Federal Information Law is an obligation on the partners of government to upload. So it's not even a request, it's not the first thing. The first is an obligation to upload all vital documents on publicly accessible platform. So think about the FRS French MOU. I even wrote to them, they wrote me, begged me, love letter, please, we are working on it. They don't want to disclose anything. But you don't even need to wait. So this Auditor General report of 2022 should have been up on websites, available to the public, publicized, action taken in 2022. But that's an audit of a year. So let's say 2023, you get, before the end of that year, you take action. While those who are still in authority or who are responsible to answer questions are there. So it tells you something about the institutional, trapping, institutional, opacity, institutional demobilization, that the institutions and the framework to activate anti-corruption are not working. And so, belatedly, 2025, when we are stuck with a different narrative, SERAC now brings this up, and then the people say, oh, we're not there. So, yeah, I agree with you that this is really a story around institutional failure at a peaker level and individual failure. So, the system fails, the National Assembly doesn't do its job well. Of course, it has no incentive because there's nothing to gain financially or politically from protecting public finance. The ministry themselves don't care. And it all comes down to just one thing, the character and the direction of the government itself at the highest level. So if the president, the chief of the secretary of government itself is focused on public accountability. When FOI was done, I was NEC as chief executive, and I worked very hard with a few people in the private sector, in the NGO, to force the SGF to create real protocols to trigger. You see, it's not enough to have Freedom of Information Act, public procurement laws, anti-corruption laws. The real thing is the implementation. So you have to look at all the dots and connect them and make each framework activated and activating so that something hits the a situation where it goes off, the alarm sounds off, somebody picks it up, who has obligation.
Early warning systems.
Exactly, and the obligation is enforceable. So if there's a public officer who has a job to get something past one stage, failure will be spotted and failure will be addressed. But that system is just a dead, a morass of system. We just dump laws, dump frameworks, and they're not connected, and they're not energized, and there are no, oversight in terms of ensuring that they actually do work.
Now, Dr. Sam Amadi, you've spoken quite well, and just before we begin to wrap up on this conversation, Nigerians watching will be wondering that we just started a new tax regime, and they're looking at the Auditor General's report coming in 3 years later. They're looking at the mess that it's unearthed by SERAP, and they're wondering, is this what I'm paying taxes for? There's still gaps when it comes to accountability. As someone who's been chief executive of government parastatal, how important is it for the for the Minister of Power to be focused 100% on the task ahead? And I'm asking this because he's nursing gubernatorial ambitions, and quite a number of people have pointed to the fact that he might be distracted by this. And is it possible that we'll live in a Nigeria where, electricity would not be a pipeline dream, and 24 hours electricity will be a reality?
Well, let me start with the last. I think it's possible. Everything is possible. Apart from God, everything is created. So it's possible. We're going to live in a world where electricity is not electricity is available for all, as you said. But the real challenge is that we can't get there in the mood we are. The problem with hopes and wishes is that wishes are naivety if they are not back to reality. The reality is that there's an input-output ratio. The things we are putting into the system, the lack of transparency, accountability, the ill definition of jobs, and the ill distribution of jobs, and the lack of consequences. Think about the Minister of Power. By now, probably should have been thrown out of his job. Not for two reasons. One is his basic idea is to come and be a governor and use the opportunity as a first outing, and in terms of maybe making money or other things, obviously distracted. So if a parent really is wants to address power and beyond loyalties or gratitude to people who may have been part of his life story, he will relieve him and put somebody who has the technical capability and attention to pick up, because there are a lot of things to pick up. The power sector is not just about failure around grand ideas. Yes, it matters that we're pursuing the wrong ideas. And I said that when I was NEC chairman, I said we're going to end up in a crisis. I was harassed for saying not believing in the process, but I've been proved right. So apart from the grand failure in terms of vision, there are a lot of granular activities at high level intensity you need to bring up to pick up every piece. So with due respect to the minister, who may be a very smart guy, accomplished guy, but at this point he lacks that depth as well as the attention to get it done. And so if you look at it, brother, and say, okay, how about what's going on with the FIRS, all these issues and taxes? People have been saying, oh, we're going to pay tax. It's a presumption that, people say, oh, tax is good. We are taught in political economy that taxation is the foundation of statehood, and the capacity of, central authority to collect and administer tax efficiently is kind of a test of its, authority, its bureaucracy that gave rise to the developmental state, because then it measures ability to take care of the people, to penetrate the hinterland and govern. But what we are seeing today is taxing capability minus governing capability. So in many places people are paying taxes, they're not being provided with responsive governance at federal state level. Nobody lights on, nobody cares, nobody explains. Nobody really struggles to say, can we make this better? So it's going to be double whammy in terms of people are going to be poorer, government's going to have more money, and the more money will result in more theft, because there's no incentive, political incentive to align fiscal buoyancy to strategic investment in human development. No political incentive. So Nigeria, just the idea of Dutch disease, writ large. So Nigeria can have all the money. It can even take all the money from all Nigerian citizens and give it to the state, and you will not have 10% improvement in the quality of governance. So I sum it up as government without governance. So we're going to have also an opportunity. The people will lose, pay more, get less, and the few people in power will probably be richer. And these kind of stories about billions, not accounted for, will continue, because really it's at the heart of the character of political leadership in Nigeria. And until we address that and change that, disrupt that system and recreate a system, we are going to be both in corruption and in very frail electricity grid that continuously fails.
All right, Mr. Sam Amadi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll hope to get some more clarity in this regard, because Nigerians deserve an explanation. It's, we put people there, the people who have been put there to serve Nigerians, and it's only fair that we get clarity in this regard. But thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Quite the conversation that we've had this morning, but of course, please keep your thoughts and comments rolling on YouTube, where we're streaming live via News Central. And as usual, we'll go through the comments and share with you here on Breakfast Central. Now, we have great news. News Central Television on Monday made a step in the right direction as Nigeria's fastest growing television station. We inaugurated members of our editorial board to fulfill our mandate and vision of fearlessly reporting on what matters most in Nigeria and the African continent. News Central's Omolola Ololade brings us this report.
It is a great start to the year 2026 for the management of News Central Television, as the leadership of the leading news organization inaugurated a 7-man editorial board panel as part of its mandate to fulfilling its vision of fearlessly reporting what matters most in Nigeria and Africa, while evolving towards a world-class news organization. Some of the editorial board members include award-winning international journalist Femi Oke, South African entrepreneur and media executive Given Mkari, Executive Director of Enough is Enough Nigeria, Yemi Adamolekon, and a Nigerian lawyer and policy strategist, Dr. Sam Amadi. Others are human rights lawyer and activist Chidi Odinkalu, founder and chairman of ProShare Limited, Olufemi Awoyemi, and editor-in-chief and managing director of News Central Television, Kayode Akintemi.
As you assume this role, we charge you to uphold the Nigerian Broadcasting Code and the public trust that News Central has earned. We charge you to guide our editorial policy with courage, fairness, and independence, ensuring we remain a beacon of truth. I have full confidence in your collective judgment, experience, and integrity. And I believe your contributions will reinforce our mission to inform, educate, and hold power to account with clarity and responsibility.
So first, I want to welcome you to being on the board, editorial board of News Central Media Limited. As an organization, our vision is to make sure that we're recognized as the #1 and most trusted news television station on the continent of Africa. News Central is a people-first news station, keen on keeping our fingers on the pulse, and I like to do it that way, that we've got our finger on the pulse of the nation and that of the continent.
For the newly appointed board members, they commended the leadership of News Central for the timely decision, considering it a crucial time for the media space in Nigeria and Africa, especially as the country moves closer to a 2027 general election.
Constituting this entity, this editorial advisory, I introduced that deliberately, board, is both timely and courageous in many ways. And my hope is that we'll all accompany one another on a journey of faith and a journey of professionalism in the service of truth and of active civic curiosity.
What are the responsibilities of a board? And I can see from some of the challenges that other very established broadcast networks have had is that when the journalism becomes tough and difficult to do and maybe comes under fire, is the board there to support the journalists?
Beyond introducing editorial board members, the inauguration became an opportunity for the management of News Central to remind its viewers of the mission and vision of the organization, while reaffirming its commitment to serving the people.
I'm definitely in charge of generating revenue for the organization, and of course, positioning the organization and ensuring that we are rightly positioned, among our stakeholders. We are all about managing the business, growing the business, working hand in hand with individuals in different departments to ensure that we manage the brand and we grow the brand to the point whereby we just don't become an organization that is generating revenue, but become an organization that is making profits.
The inauguration of News Central's editorial board remains a remarkable milestone, as the management believe it's a call to keep pushing for responsible, solution-driven journalism that impacts Nigerians and Africans positively. In Lagos, for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
And congratulations to all of us here at News Central. Every day we continually share with you our commitment to deliver reporting that is clear, that is honest, true, and to go wherever the story takes us. Balanced reporting is what we are committed to giving you here. And we do that by sharing with you now that we've set up our editorial board, as well as our town halls, even the kind of conversations that we have on our shows, on all our shows here. So congratulations to the members of our board, and thank you for coming on board to ensure that you take the work that we do a notch higher.
That's right. I think you've said it all. You've taken the words out of our mouth.
And with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you.
You've not confused us. You've convinced us beyond.
And I mean, this 2026, if you think News Central did a stellar job in 2025, we're just getting started. We're taking it a notch higher.
Absolutely.
So sit back, relax, and spread the gospel of News Central TV.
That's right.
All right, Dan, thank you very much for the kind wishes. Mokunye Chukwemeka says, what a board, strong men and women, keep rising News Central. Thank you very much for that.
Men of timber caliber and mahogany.
Yeah.
Oh,
we've got
okay.
a quick break, by the way.
Yes, let's
and
go
when we
break.
come back, we'll have a conversation that, well, it might infuriate you. At the same time, it's good to know that there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel with this story.
Because the stories are coming out.
Yes, it is. But stay with us. This is Breakfast Central. We'll be right back.
Now, Joe did tell you before we went on the break that this conversation might infuriate you. We're sharing with you two cases highlighting corruption and accountability in Nigeria's security institution. Let's start with Lagos, where policemen at Area H Command returned 1.1 million naira to a couple less than 24 hours after the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, FIJ, revealed how officers forced the man to transfer $2,000, an equivalent of 3.3 million naira. So 3.3 million naira stolen, 1.1 million naira returned. Attempts to accept a partial refund failed, and the full sum was eventually returned following public scrutiny, fueling concerns over rogue officers in Lagos.
Meanwhile, in Anambra State, whistleblower Nnamdi Eme was released from solitary confinement in early January 2026 after exposing police corruption, extrajudicial killings, and organ harvesting, as well as extortion at the Oka Correctional Facility, including 200,000 naira for privileged cells and 2,000 naira visitors' fees. His confinement, reportedly punishment for exposing corruption, ended after widespread public pressure. Join us this morning on Breakfast Central to discuss this event further as a correspondent of the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, FIJ, Daniel Ojukwu. A warm welcome to you, Daniel, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for being here.
Now, both stories that we've highlighted expose deep-seated corruption within the Nigerian police force and more loopholes in our criminal justice system. Please, could you share how you uncovered these stories?
Okay, the first one, the extortion case, it was one of 3 extortion cases that was reported to us at the FIJ. We had gotten several reports about Area H, Ogudu, Ketu police stations, and one of them was the 2,000 USDT that was taken by the policeman. Another was a case of $500, and another was a case of 42,000 naira. So with these cases piling up, it made me want to visit the area. So I went there. I went to Ogudu on, I think, Wednesday, Tuesday, and I met the DPO of Ogudu, and we had 40,000 returned. And then we told him about the other case, and he said, no, it must be the area H command. And it got us to start digging. We spoke to friends of the victims, we spoke to the victims, and we tried to establish what went wrong, until we got to learn that the police were begging and saying, no, they only had 2.3 million there, and they wouldn't be able to return the remaining 1 million because a lot of them had shared it. And it got us worried, like, why would the police be so brazen to tell people that we can't give you your money back because the rest of us have shared it? So I called the station officer, Olumide Jegede, and I told him, I said, look, you can't take money from people and then negotiate how much you return. And we like to decorate these things in Nigeria. We call it extortion. We call it bail. It's armed robbery.
It is.
It's terrorism. We recently proscribed several things as terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, all these activities. But when it comes to the police, we just call it extortion. So we don't negotiate with terrorists. And we told the police point blank, you can't keep any part of this money. You have to return it in full. And that's what they eventually did after our report.
Okay. And this is not the first time that you're having such incidents. Obviously, you've been having this over and over again. Let's now then talk about the young man who raised the alarm about organ harvesting. And if you can give us more details on how you uncovered that as well. Okay,
Nnamdi MS case is a very interesting one, because when Gislover was putting out information about Patrick Ageswe, one of the policemen in Anambra, who used to be Akuzu SARS,
yes,
and later
Patrick Agbazwe.
Agbazwe, yeah. So now they're with the RRS. And then he said these people are involved in organ harvesting, they're involved in extortion, extrajudicial killings, and all that. So there was no name. It wasn't, nobody, the reporter of that story was never named, but the police went after him and then locked him up. They found him in Benin Republic through an Interpol red notice. And he actually used to work with the police. So they picked him up and locked him up and accused him of different things. They said money laundering, weapons possession, fraud, impersonation, and stuff like that. And he was actually granted bail, but they still didn't release him. So he has been in prison since 2023. Now, we got insider information that the prison officials were collecting monies from people. It's similar to the Julian Assange case, where he was in the Ecuadorian embassy and leaking information. Yeah, so they then went after this guy and put him in solitary confinement. And the UN has already described solitary confinement as a form of torture. So you're punishing someone and then going the extra mile to punish him more, because information about your crimes are coming out. So the prison officials aren't even addressing the systemic challenges of these people taking monies from inmates, already incarcerated people, charging them 200,000 naira for special cells, 100,000 naira for bed spaces, and 2,000 naira per visit. So all these issues are still ongoing till now. We escalated it to the NCOS leadership, but nothing is happening up until now. And the only person who has been punished so far is Nnamdi Eme. But following the reports, they did get him out of that situation.
All right, so what's the current situation of with Nnamdi now? Is there going to be a court case? What's happening with the police officers?
Is he seeking redress?
And so on, yes.
Yes, Nnamdi's case is supposed to come up again April this year. So his trial is ongoing. Now, he was granted bail before, but the police slapped on more charges, and that's how we do in Nigeria. We saw with Emefiele when the DSS and prison officials were fighting over his custody. We do that a lot in Nigeria, and there's no respect for rule of law. We don't even respect the courts. So the court says one thing, and the next thing people go to rearrest, file new charges, and say they are holding him on these new charges, even if he's been granted bail on the previous ones.
So what is it that emboldens the Nigerian police and their armed forces, right? These are the people who are supposed to protect Nigerians. What is it that emboldens the people who are meant to protect us to now serve as the people that are endangering us and exploiting us?
Two things. lack of consequences and funding. So every corrupt policeman you see will tell you that he's not paid enough. That's why they're going after VIP money. They want to be VIPs. They want to be VIP escorts. They want to collect money for tainted permits. They want to monetize everything, CMR and whatever. They'll always tell you we don't get enough money. We're the ones. If you walk into any DPO's office, he'll tell you, look at that fridge, I bought it with my money. Look at this TV, I bought it with my money. Everything here, I buy with my money. If you tell a policeman that there's a case you want them to investigate, they would ask you for money to probe that matter. They'll tell you that we need mobilization fee. So write a statement, they'll tell you you need to make statement fee. If you get robbed and you want to make a statement, you want to get a police report, you have to pay money just to get that police report. So there's a funding problem, but also there are lack of consequences. The only time you see the police act is when they believe that the consequences are great. If you come after if you say that, yeah, the police force is extorting here and there, the first thing they think is it's damaging the IGP's reputation. No one thinks it's affecting the common man. The first thought is, this exposure damages the IGP's reputation. We have to address it. So every statement you see, the IGP frowns at this, the IGP frowns at that. There's no sentiment towards the average Nigerian that says, oh, this person has actually endured this, we sympathize with this person. No, it's always the IGP first. If it doesn't hurt the IGP's reputation, if it doesn't make the IGP look bad, nobody cares.
Now, you spoke about lack of consequences and funding. The Nigerian police, I guess that's why you said it's kidnapping, because the only reason why a regular person would will transfer money to them is because of the weapons they carry and the consequences that could ensue for that, and that makes it an armed robbery, so to speak. They're not the only ones. It's a voluntary organization. No one is conscripted into the Nigerian police. So if you're not happy with the pay, I don't think you should sign up for it in the first place. That's just my opinion. And they're not the only ones that carry weapons and, you know, the only security outfit in Nigeria. But day after day, week after week, there's one damaging story that affects their reputation. What sort of reform is the Nigerian police force even reformable? That should be the question.
The Nigerian police force is not the only one that exists. I mean, we have several other forces. We have paramilitary, we have the military as well. People will tell you every day they encounter the FRSC, they encounter the LASMA. Sometimes you encounter soldiers as well. And there are forces who are now itching to have weapons. So I think the thing with the police is that people interact with them more. You have issues, you call the police. You go on the roads, the police are at the checkpoints. You have more policemen on the roads than you have NDLEA, FRSC, or whatnot. So you're going to have a higher volume of police cases. It doesn't mean we don't have those issues with the military or with other forces, but you just have to interact more with the police. And more often than not, they'll tell you that the police is a reflection of society. It's partly true because it's people in society who get into the force, but people have to set the tone. For every organization, whatever output is a reflection of the tone that has already been set by management. So if from the top they haven't passed across that message and put in them that moral structure for them to go out and do right, then people are not going to wake up with that in them. There are many people who get into the force and they tell you that you can't fight the system. The system is bad, the system is rotten. And if you try to do good, you're going to get kicked out. You're going to get deployed to some faraway land. And it's just, there has to be a holistic approach. People have to sit down and say, look, we have to reform the police. We have to be intentional about it and not just try plugging holes here and there.
We have the Nigerian Police Services Commission. There's a National Assembly Committee on Nigerian Police, but all of this in names, and we've also been hearing reforms, but nothing seems to change.
Yes, the Nigerian Police Service Commission has been accused of several atrocities in recent time. The ICR did a report exposing how the former leadership, Arase, handed out some very shady deals. So they're not completely holy, per se. So with the National Assembly, the Police Service Commission, these people haven't done enough to even attempt to reform the police. we have to change the scope. We have to change the approach. If the Police Service Commission isn't equipped enough to handle some of these things, then the Nigerian people themselves have to wake up. We saw with NSAS. People complained about a certain unit of the police, said SARS is killing people. You have to do something about this. And what they said was, we've disbanded SARS, but they retained the same officers and gave them a different designation. That doesn't solve the problem. It just ignores it. So, and then sometimes when you speak with people on the inside, there are some things that never come out to the public because of how damning they are. They'll tell you that, oh, a lot of money goes to the military, and then when the police wants money, they give it to some sections of the police, and then those at the bottom don't get enough money.
Yeah, the ones at the top are the ones.
Exactly. There are DPOs that will tell you that they don't get up to 7,000 naira a quarter as running costs.
And how are they supposed to function? Yeah.
That's why they get the streets.
That's why
they get the streets, and then
mobilization.
are supposed to get what they have to get. But you've worked closely with cases regarding the police officers and citizens. There's this growing concern of profiling.
Yes.
I mean, with all due respect, you have a very beautiful hair, but I'm sure if you walked around the police officer, you might be looked on twice.
I have been.
Yeah, and like, okay, fine. Who is he? What does he belong to? In dealing with the police officers, how have you been able to ascertain that this profiling issue will stop or it will continue? And have you in any way spoken with them in line with this line of action, rather?
Yes, profiling is a problem, but policemen will tell you that it's part of policing. It's part of policing.
There's some cars you shouldn't drive.
Yeah, that's what they'll tell you. They'll tell you that in the Police Act, profiling exists, that it's up to a policeman to observe, and then, you know, you're supposed to detect crime before it happens. So if you see somebody and based on experience, you think that this person is likely to commit a crime, you step in. So if you see a person with tattoos, looking...
Or beard like Winger.
Something.
Why use me?
So, yeah, so they'll tell you that it's part of their MO to stop people and wander and then search them. If they see a person looking suspicious or looking over their shoulder, they'll say, oh, this person looks suspicious, let me search him. I have reasonable suspicion. So they abuse it. It's not a crime to see somebody probably putting their hands in their suits and looking suspicious and foretelling that something might go wrong. But then you see an average person, you know, driving a car, you know, walking down the streets, and the first thing you think is Yahoo boy. It's not reasonable suspicion. It's poor profiling. You're abusing the powers that the Constitution has given you or the Police Act has given you. I've been stopped a number of times, and they say, oh, who are you? Why are you? Because I look different from my social media persona. So they're always like, who are you? What are you doing? And then once I flash my ID, everything comes. And they're like, oh, yes, who is this? You're a journalist. Oh, because you're a journalist, you know that if we arrest you, nothing's going to happen. Find something for boys. Or they'll be like, oh, okay, journalist, you see, we're not doing anything. And then it's always a funny interaction when I meet some policemen. It's really a running joke amongst my friends. They're always like, Ojukwu, if we go out with you, definitely police can't touch us. If the police arrest me, I just call Ojukwu and I get out of any problems. And I tell people, no, if you're guilty, there's nothing I do. But yeah, if you're innocent, definitely we'll pull out all stops. That's what we do at FIJ.
All right, now let's talk about consequences for actions, which is one of the things you alluded to as a reason why we continue to see this impunity among Nigeria's policemen. And yes, we know that there are policemen that are doing their jobs. Unfortunately, the few bad eggs, few or many, we can't say.
They're not few.
You know, the bad eggs are giving them a bad name. Yeah. In the course of your experience, how well do you say that punitive measures have been employed within the force? Now, in this particular case, where the team lead, Ajibola Basiru, I mean, from the report, we saw that he was crying. He was saying to you people that you know, he's ashamed, that he has different things disturbing him, saying to the couple that they want to be the reason he will lose his job, and beg them to let it go. And the conclusion of that report was that there will be an internal probe. We hear this a lot. Whenever we hear that a policeman has erred,
they've been summoned to force headquarters.
Exactly. They tell you that they've been summoned, they've been arrested, they will be made to face an orderly, you know, an orderly room trial. Yes. But does this ever lead to serious consequences? What are the kind of consequences that you've seen that these actions lead to? And do you particularly believe that this particular case will lead to the desired outcome?
Well, I'll start with the last question. This particular case, I'm super invested in it, so it would definitely lead to a desired outcome.
What would that desired outcome be?
The policemen have to face justice. They have to. The normal procedure is after the other room trial, you get kicked out of the force, and then you get tried as a civilian. So when you get tried as a civilian, you then get the full weight of the law come down on you. That's super important. There are cases I work on for years. I could be on a case from 2020, 2021. The outcome comes out in 2025, I'm fine, as long as the outcome happens.
Wow.
So for the other question, I don't like to live in an imaginary world. So I understand the limits of the police. I understand the problems. I understand what a solution might look like. So we don't always get solutions simply because victims don't always want to come forward. There are sometimes I go to stations myself because the victims are too scared to do so. And I call the victim and we have the conversation in the DPO's office. There was a time I went to Area M at 9 p.m. and I was handling a case only for me to see a boy at the door in the cell. He was inside the cell. And I asked what this boy do. And they said he was filming policemen while they were on duty.
My goodness. And
I walked back to the DPO. I said, it's not a crime to film policemen on duty. And the DPO knew that it wasn't a crime, but his policemen did not. So imagine empowering people with guns to enforce a law they do not know. We had to get that guy out that same night. And he went back to his family. So when these people don't know the law, it's difficult.
So the family would have been looking for that boy.
They don't know where he is.
They would have declared him missing. At that point, we've heard stories that are very scary, where police officers would ask, what's this boy doing here? They don't know. They might even, allegedly, put another crime on this individual.
Make him write a statement.
Exactly. Solutions, because it seems like we're flogging a dead horse here, and it's very important that we talk about these issues, we highlight them, because it's been going on for years. It's the Nigerian police has a serious reputation issue. So what are the low-hanging fruits? How can we begin to deal with this systemic institutional corruption that is almost defining what the Nigerian police is? Because the bad eggs are, they seem to be getting the spotlight, and it's bad for the organization, for the institution as a whole. So what are the low-hanging fruits? What are the easy wins? What can we move? Just a few weeks ago, Governor Simfubara and a few governors, the governor of Ogun State, they were at the Nigerian Police College in Ikeja, GRA, and they complained about the training facilities, the things they saw there. They said they're going to fix it. So beyond things like that, what else can be done?
The biggest problem right now is the image. The image of the police is the biggest issue. Because we always say we need better police. So for us to get better police, you have to get better people in the police force. Now, people don't want to get into the police force because the image is bad. And the image includes the quality of lifestyle. I mean, you see the houses they stay in, the barracks, they're poor. The pay is poor. The idea of the average Nigerian policeman is poor. I mean, these people buy their own uniforms. So if you want to get better people into the police force, you need a better image. You need to paint a better image for these people to get in. And it's not just papering over the cracks. You have to actually fix some of these issues. Because these days, if you want to kick people out of the force, you have about, the bad eggs, I'll say are more than 50%. If I'm being, if I'm being very modest, I'll say the bad eggs are more than 50%. It could go as high as 80. But if you want to kick out all the bad eggs, you're going to have an under-policed society. It's the reality. Currently, we don't have enough policemen per square meter. We don't have enough policemen for Nigeria's population. So it's like we have to retain. These people are the ones who want to do the job. Yeah. I mean, the job is that bad. So these people are the ones who are saying that, okay, they actually want to be in the force. So if we kick them out, who's going to replace them? We get to a point where we say, oh, we have to then do compulsory recruitment. If you force people to do the job, they're not going to do it with happiness. They're not going to do it with joy.
They mentioned NYSC, and then they opened the doors for recruitment, but they couldn't even get up to the numbers they had opened for.
Nobody wants to do it because the image is bad. We have a PR academy for the police where they're supposed to train PROs, but look at the quality of public relations officers that come out of the police.
I mean, someone did, Bright Adafe, they put up a statement recently.
Bright's the worst
And they told him that you can't just be so flippant that the guy has been arrested, the money has been returned. And they said, look, you're head of the PRO department of a police command. You shouldn't be speaking like this. And the next thing he said, I know you have a personal issue against me.
So is that why you think that Bright is the worst?
No, I've known Bright for a long time, and I can tell you that I deal with PROs regularly, and of all the police PROs in Nigeria currently, Bright is the worst.
Why do you say
that?
Public relations is a two-way street.
Yeah.
You're supposed to take feedback and give information. You're not supposed to give propaganda. You're supposed to handle crisis. You're supposed to be able to manage emotions. But Bright speaks so, it puzzles me sometimes. You see the kinds of things he says, the kinds of behavioral patterns. You see, I mean,
driving and filming himself at the same time.
Does this mean that
breaking the law?
Does this mean that the best PRO we had was Frank Aba?
I can't tell you about the best. I try as much as possible not to. Every year, I think there's several PROs that deserve accolades. I mean, I know Moses Yamu, who used to be the Edo PRO, fantastic man. I know Yahaya Adamawa PRO, fantastic man. There's this Oyo PRO, Oshifesho, fantastic guy. So there's so many guys like that. But I try as much as possible not to pick names, because once you start getting picky, then people start saying, oh, you're favorite, you're being favorite, you're picking favorites and all that. If you mention Frank Mba, they say, oh, you're an Igbo man, and you're picking this person.
Because tribalism is
exactly. I just don't want
problem.
Well, okay, thank you so much. We have one comment from YouTube, and I think we'll end it on that comment. From Lilian Oloha, she says, the Nigeria Police Buhari Division extorted huge amounts of money from Buhari Abuja residents who were going to their churches on the 31st of December 2025 for crossover night.
They should text FIJ.
All right,
we'll get it back.
Text FIJ, and you'll be able to follow up on this case. Thank you so much for joining us, Daniel.
And thank you for the great work you do at FIJ. It's very brave, and I mean,
and I think we need to mention it here on Breakfast Central. We're open for any partnership. Should FIJ get ready to partner with us?
We're I mean, to the entire team, you're doing great work. Daniel constantly putting himself in the lion's den.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's why it's the Daniel.
We appreciate it so much. Thank you.
We'll go on a break. We'll come back with another story. Stay with us.
And when we return, we will be discussing the United States and Venezuela, the implications for the rest of the world. Do stay with us.
On January 3, 2026, the U.S. basically said, we're taking the wheels in Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were grabbed by United States forces and flown to New York to face drug-related charges, leaving the country wondering who's really in charge. With Vice President Delcy Rodriguez stepping in as interim president and the world watching like it's a reality TV or a Sylvester Stallone movie. Venezuela's political drama is indeed far from over. Well, let's break this down a little bit, and here is what you should know.
President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were captured by U.S. forces and flown to New York to face U.S. drug-related charges on January 3, 2026, after the U.S. launched a large-scale military operation in Venezuela. Relations between Washington and Caracas have been hostile for years over oil ideology and alleged drug trafficking. The United States government had repeatedly sanctioned Maduro's leadership, accused it of corruption and narco-terrorism, and targeted Venezuelan vessels before the raid. Tensions peaked as Trump claimed Maduro's rule was illegitimate and harmful to U.S. interests.
After Maduro's removal, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was declared interim president by Venezuela's Supreme Court and backed by parts of the military. Though her legitimacy is contested and she initially rejected U.S. control, Rodriguez has since expressed willingness to cooperate with the U.S. under diplomatic terms. Meanwhile, yesterday, Maduro pleaded not guilty in court. Joining us now to discuss the implication of these events is global affairs analyst Ejike Okpa. Good morning, and thank you for joining us all the way from Texas. Thank you for staying awake for us.
Good morning, guys, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year as well.
Thank you.
All right, so there have been different arguments. Initially, we did see that there was celebration in Venezuela. However, What we then later saw is those who were celebrating seemed to not know what the future held for them, especially as the U.S. had declared that it will now take control of Venezuela. Some have called this an act of naked aggression. I mean, if Donald Trump can invade Venezuela, what stops Xi Jinping from taking over Taiwan or Putin, from invading Ukraine? So the question is, I know, I mean, without saying, we sort of, having had conversations with you before now, we typically know where you lean in terms of Donald Trump and his policies. But what is your take on this latest action? Do you support it? Do you think it was the right way to go? Is there a better way this could have been done?
When we were taking WIAC, they give you multiple choices, all of the above listed below. You have to choose one. As you know, I'm a Republican. I support Trump. Not that I support everything he's done or he's going to do, but in this particular case, let's just look at what the facts are as opposed to opinion. January 15th, 2024, shortly before Trump was sworn in, the Biden administration has a bounty for the arrest of Maduro for $50 million. I think with the reaction you're having from the Democrats is because they couldn't do it and Trump did it. So that being by the way, this is not the first time America has done something like this. Manuel Noriega was captured and tried and sentenced in the U.S. the time before he was returned to Panama. Of course, we know how he ended for Saddam Hussein. But go back to the turn of the century in 1901. The first time America did something like this was when, the president of Philippines was captured. And that was Emilio Aguinaldo. So, countries have to do certain things. And I mean, let's even look at this. Obasanjo facilitated the arrest of Charles Taylor in 2006 and handed him over, and now he's sitting in jail in The Hague or somewhere for crimes or whatever the allegations were. So, sometimes it becomes, a mutual necessity for countries to do what it is they think, that is counter or against, their national interest. Venezuela for some time has been this sort of, thorn in the flesh, and America warned it, from the time even Obama was there. They said, hey, watch it, let's do this, let's talk, and he felt, hey, I can do it. And then when the push comes to the shove, his own military didn't even defend him. There wasn't even any resistance. People talking about China and Russia. Didn't they have the intelligence? A delegation of Chinese were in Caracas, hours before this happened. How come, China didn't send the military resources and, to do what? To protect their own trading partner or their own friend. So the guy's in jail. He was arraigned yesterday. He said not guilty. The next court appearance is in March. And then, the court process has started. If anybody wants him out, go to court, because nobody's going to come in here to rescue him. He's now in jail.
I mean, if I hear you correctly, you're blaming China for not stepping in to protect their business counterpart, as opposed to the person who actually launched the aggression. But I'll have you respond to that when we come back from this break.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central, and we're currently looking at the unprecedented events that took place in Caracas a few days ago when the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, was kidnapped by U.S. Special Forces and flown to New York, where he's currently standing trial on drug-related charges. And we have with us a Republican, Mr. Ejike Opa, who is a global affairs analyst, to help us unpack the events of that day and its implications. Mr. Opa, before we went on the break, my colleague did ask you a question about the events of the day, and you seem to support it. My question to you is that under international law and the United Nations Charter, does the United States have any legal justification for conducting a unilateral military operation to seize a sitting head of state on a foreign soil with his wife? And does this not represent a clear breach of Venezuelan sovereignty? It was discussed at the United Nations Security Council yesterday. I know you did mention the precedent of Saddam Hussein and Manuel Noriega, but this just takes it a notch higher.
Well, I mean, you use the word unprecedented, and I wanted to say that this is not unprecedented. It's happened before. In circumstances may be different. And again, Trump wasn't the one that issued the bounty on Maduro. Previous administrations did it. They just somehow either stepped it down or didn't take it as a serious case. But he came in, and since he's been in office less than 1 year, because it's going to be 1 year on the 20th of this month. But the point is that he reached out to him and said, "Hey, you gotta shape up or shape out, or here's an opportunity for you to resign." And he could get in his way. He over-exaggerated his capacity to resist, or he thought, whomever the partners are, either domestic or international, were going to come to his rescue, but they didn't. And so, international law, I'm always saying, which international law? Where you go, this is medicine after death. So you're going to take America to court, or which court? You're going to now come in and stage and, internal rescue to grab him and free him from the prison. All those is more like waiting for the sun to rise from the west. They ain't going to happen. There are possibilities, but this is highly improbable. So the thing is, what lessons is going to be learned? Can this thing happen again? I don't know. I wouldn't say it will happen again. The world politics and sovereignty is always in flux. You look at what is going on in Africa, and again, I gave the example of Charles Taylor. Obasanjo facilitated his arrest, and he's in jail now. Did ECOWAS jump up and condemn Obasanjo? Did AU do that? No, nobody did that. Everybody kept quiet, more like a dog with his tail behind the legs, and they moved on. So people are going to have a reaction one way or the other. Some of them are happy, some of them are not happy. The point is, sovereignty matters and makes more sense when the leadership of a particular country is making the effort to make sure that citizens of that particular country are enjoying what it is they can. But when you don't do it, then you open yourself up for a sucker punch. You just look at that expression. Nobody's going to come into your home if you take care of your own business. Yeah, every country is a home.
Yeah, Mr. Ajibola, thanks for your submission. But, doesn't this send a precedent? The United States often talks about the international rule-based orders, but by breaking this, it does smirk of hypocrisy. And in the case of Charles Taylor of Liberia, he was granted some form of amnesty. He was in Nigeria on exile, and then President Obasanjo did facilitate his arrest many years later. That's totally different from what has happened.
No, it's not totally different, because
okay. But my point is, doesn't this set a precedent that might is right, and China can tomorrow go into any other country and say, I don't like the way you're governing, and remove that head of state? It will make the world a lawless place. We will be back to the days of the Wild Wild West.
The world has always had experience of lawlessness, but the thing is, who has the big stick to whack somebody if they go astray? So if China wants to do it, China is next to Taiwan, and all these years they've been wanting to, but let them do it. You remember when Speaker Nancy Pelosi flew over to Taiwan, and China said, "Oh, we're going to bomb you." They didn't do it. So we do all the permutations. We can analyze this thing to death. The point is, what happens to Maduro now that he's in jail? Would he get a fair trial? And he's going to have access to lawyers, because his next court appearance is in March. So he's going to build a team, and this team are going to be American lawyers, as well as those, if there are Venezuelan ones who want to join in that legal fight, they should do it. And then if he's found not guilty for the charges that are leveled against him, then he will be released. And then, because the American government cannot say, "Oh, no, you have to convict him based on our wishes." He's going to be convicted on the evidence against him, and that evidence is he is a narco terrorist, and he thought he was going to get away with it, but he didn't.
But you're saying he's going to be tried before the U.S. court based on the evidence found. And can a party be a judge in its own cause? The U.S. here has already arrested him. They're bringing him to be tried in a U.S. court. The United Nations Charter had given 2 conditions in which a country can respond with military force or attack, maybe not attack, but yes, use military force against another sovereign nation. One, where there's a resolution by the United Nations Council. Yes, authorization of a UN Security Council resolution. And secondly, in self-defense. In this case, there's been accusation of narco-terrorism. And UN, if you go back again to when they were denouncing the invasion of Panama, they had said that this should be handled as, they don't count this as an attack in this case. And even if you look at the details of where the drug is coming from, is it really coming from Venezuela and the likes, can you really consider that an attack against the U.S.? So you are saying now that they're bringing him to court in the United States. Is the U.S. a party in its own cause? Is it a judge in its own cause?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Our UN has no effect here. U.S. toothless barking dog. They can't do anything. If they had intelligence, they should have offered that intelligence to Maduro and facilitated his exit to a peaceful country. So when you keep injecting UN, they can't do nothing. You know, they can't do nothing. So I'm telling you, the shit has hit the fan. Everybody's taking a cover. Let's see what happens with the court. Like I said, he's been charged. He wasn't charged. It's not a court martial. He's not in a U.S. military detention. He is in a civil court, and he has the right to now go in and make his case and defend himself, defends the allegations, and he's going to have access to lawyers, wherever those lawyers come from, provided they have the privilege to practice in an American court. They can go make a case on his behalf. But until that happens, again, between now and March, he's going to be sitting in jail. He's not even going to be granted a bail. So, again, people inject UN Security Council. There are 5 of them, out of, the countries, 100 and, the world's 100 and something nations, only 5 decide what happens. If you don't, we keep talking about UN. If African nations, 54 of them are the largest contingent in the UN member nations, why don't they just say, hey, this doesn't favor us, we're not going to be members? But every year they troop to New York to participate in General Assembly and look like kids, who's going to get instruction from the principal. Again, these are things, when you submit, you get subdued. And that's what this is. The world order has never been the same. You read the book Animal Farm. All animals are equal. Some are created more equal than others, either by design or default. America happens to be that animal that is greater than most other animals. Whether we like it or not, it is what it is. We have to deal with it. But I'm saying the way to deal with this and curtail this sort of nuisance is for country leadership to be more responsive to their own people. You don't go beating your chest, or you don't go to a war, with bow and arrow when has a better weapon system.
Mr. Ajike, don't you think that if this was about the drugs, it would have been handled differently? But here again, we do hear the President of the United States say that the oil that belongs to Venezuela is now belonging to the United States. The oil belongs to the United States. How is that possible? After all, I mean, this is... it's
he didn't say. Look, I understand the sentiments. I understand the feelings. Nobody wants their own, father, assuming their father is president of a country, taken. But the point I'm trying to make here is, it is medicine after death. We can't undo what has already been done.
So are you saying? Sorry to butt in again, because we're out of time. I just want to try and put all my questions all in one. So you're saying that it is the norm, it is normal, because tomorrow, if this happens to another country, are we going to say that, yes, because it has been a precedent, therefore it is normal for someone to come into your country and rightly take what belongs to you and says, listen, this is mine now?
America never said the oil of Venezuela belongs to them. America is the most invested company in Venezuela production. Oil was founded in Venezuela in 1992. You go back to that history. China wasn't even there, What was China in 1922? So when all these latter-day saints show up and begin to, turn their finger at America, fine. But the point is, America does what America does, good or bad, and then we deal with the consequences after the fact. This year we have a midterm election. If People don't like it. You know, I mean, Trump still has 3 years plus 1 month or something to go. You know, but if we decide what he's doing is not good for what America wants to do, then, you know, we vote more democracy into power, and then they will start to frustrate him. But, you know, until that happens, you know, again, let's deal with what has happened. Let's watch, you know, what is going to be the fate of Maduro in the court system. Maybe this time, you know, hey, somebody might say, you know, all these charges should even be brought to court, and they let him set him free. A judge has the right to do it, but the evidence is the evidence. Let him again go make his case. If you guys haven't read the book, there's a book called Make Your Case. This is how to win, you know, argument, persuasive argument. It's one of the best books I've ever read. It's not just beating your chest and having an opinion. Make your case. And when you make your case, be factual, be objective, and remove all the sentiments and the emotions that oftentimes...
Talking about making one's case, as we wrap up this conversation, I mean, the United States has a history of invading other countries. In 2003, the Republicans did invade Iraq. In 2003, led to the death of millions on the excuses of weapons of mass destruction. And no weapons of mass destruction have been found till today. And another Republican government in President Donald Trump did invade a sovereign nation, kidnapped his head of state and his wife under the excuse of narco-terrorism. And we know that most of the fentanyl that comes into the United States comes in from Colombia, Mexico, but the president, being as bold as he is, has come out to say, look, they have big oil, we're going to take the oil, we're going to run that country. Under what authority does the United States have to do this? And do they also have the moral justification to look at a country like Russia and say what you're doing in Ukraine is bad when they're committing the same crime? Doesn't this smack of hypocrisy?
No, your questions are more like, you know, PhD dissertation, and we don't have enough time for it. But while you were saying what the Republican presidents have done, you skipped the fact that, you know, Gaddafi was taken during Obama's time, a Kenyan American. Okay, he was taken and he got killed. And you saw the reaction that the Secretary of State at the time, Hillary Clinton, did. You know, again, I'm telling you that, you know, America doing what America just did has been 125 years. 1901 was the first time. And you can go Google that, you can go read it up and see what it is. My point again is that I don't speak for any American president, but certain nuisance, you know, needs to be dealt with. It's not a one-time thing. You know, the world leadership is always in flux. One thing can pop up and it calls for justification. Even sometimes you go against the moral order to make sure things happen. Hey, didn't you know, America just had an airstrike in Nigeria the first time under Tinubu? Where is Tinubu? Has Tinubu said anything about it? He issued statement. He's not even in the country. He's outside of the country. So, you know, again, look at this stuff. Every country is a home, and whoever is the leader of that household needs to be more responsive to the people.
All right,
it's not good at pointing fingers and looking for some kind of, you know, apologies and sympathy. The world does not go on sympathy. The world goes on strategy and strength. If you don't have it, you're going to become a subject of submit to be subdued, and it's too bad. That's just an animal form.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Mr. Ejike Okpa. We've run out of time, unfortunately, but we'll look forward to having a continuation of this conversation. We'll follow the developments and look at it from a different perspective.
And we do appreciate your straight talking. I mean, no sugarcoating. Yeah, just as it is.
Right,
and you know, guys, I love you guys. I keep saying it. You are the best thing. You wake me up in the morning. You give me this energy boost. I don't drink coffee, but I get an energy boost each time I talk with you guys. So do it often and do it always.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okpa. Thank you. Do have a wonderful rest of the night over there. All right. We now continue here with Breakfast Central. We'll be bringing you the news, breakfast headlines. Benga Aborowa brings us that.
Hello and welcome to Breakfast Headlines. We begin the news outside Nigeria, where the Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, has been sworn in as interim president following the arrest of Nicolas Maduro by U.S. authorities. Rodriguez, who has served as vice president since 2018 took office during an emergency parliamentary session, condemning the U.S. operation that detained Maduro and his wife in an overnight kidnapping. Earlier, Maduro appeared in a New York court, pleading not guilty to multiple charges, including drug trafficking and terrorism, while insisting he remains Venezuela's president. Developments triggered sharp debate at the United Nations, where Venezuela denounced the arrest as an illegal armed attack. However, the United States defended its actions, calling Maduro an illegitimate leader and a fugitive from justice. Now let's come back to Nigeria, where prominent activist Aisha Yusufu is officially registered as a member of African Democratic Congress, becoming a card-carrying member of the party. Yusufu says her decision is tied to her support of former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi as political alignments begin to take shape ahead of the 2027 general elections. She also urged young Nigerians to participate actively in politics, stressing that youth involvement is key to achieving good governance. Yusufu added that she is willing to work with others, provided their values and objectives align.
Mr. Peter Obi came officially and brought his people, his allies, his friends, his supporters, and officially declared for ADC. And on that day, I said to him, I have never been a card-carrying member of any political party, but because my leader has called, I will do that. At the state we are in our country, it is no longer just an option for us to be in political parties. It's a necessity for our country to be able to grow. I've always said that politics is not a romantic affair. I'm not looking for people that we are I'm in love with or we love each other. We might not love each other, we might not like each other, but we have a singularity of purpose, and that's to give Nigeria good governance.
President Bola Tinubu, you are recklessly borrowing money. You are recklessly spending the money. You are recklessly taxing us, we citizens. So this is a message for you. By 2027, we are going to recklessly vote you out.
Meanwhile, the defection of the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, to the African Democratic Congress Party has been described as not just a political movement, but a statement of conscience. At a press briefing in Jos Plateau State, the national chairman of the Coalition of the Protection of Democracy, Rang Pam, says the acceptance of Peter Obi into the African Democratic Congress is a sign of great conviction and optimism, while reaffirming its support for the ADC in the upcoming 2027 general elections. COPDEM maintains that Obi's mission is a convergence of values which the coalition stands for in defense of democratic values.
Mr. Peter Obi's entrance into the ADC is not merely a political movement. It is a statement of conscience. It is a declaration that Nigeria can no longer afford politics without principled leadership, without sacrifice, or governance without compassion. His long-standing reputation for prudence, transparency, fiscal responsibility resonates deeply with the aspirations of millions of Nigerians who yearn for a nation that works for all and not just a privileged few. For COPDEM, this moment represents the convergence of values. We are a coalition committed to the defense of democracy, the rule of law, social justice, zero tolerance for corruption, and the protection of the people's mandate.
Provisional results from the National Electoral Authority on Tuesday shows President Faustin Archange Touadera has been re-elected in the Central African Republic. Touadera scored more than 76% of the vote in December 28 polls, extending his rule into a third term after constitutional changes last year. Turnout stood at about 52%. His closest rival, Anicet Georges de Leguele, finished second with 15% of the vote, while Henry-Marie Dondre placed third. Parts of the opposition boycotted the vote and alleged irregularities, calling for an annulment. Tordera's camp rejects the claims. The African Union observers reported a largely peaceful process. Final results expected mid-January. The elections included parliamentary and local elections.
Les résultats provisoires de l'élection présidentielle du 28 décembre 2025 sont publiés ainsi qu'il suit, tel que présenté par le document ci annoncé. Article 2. Conformément aux dispositions de l'article 117 du Code électoral, Monsieur Faustin Archange Tordera, ayant recueilli la majorité absolue des suffrages valablement exprimés au premier tour de l'élection présidentielle du 28 décembre 2025, avec 894 556 voix, soit 76,15%, est déclaré élu.
Tout le monde sait que je mène ici une politique de main tendue. Notre pays a trop souffert et notre pays a besoin de tous ses fils qui se mettent ensemble pour qu'on puisse construire le pays. Et voyez-vous, j'ai tendu la main aux groupes armés, je continue de le faire et la paix revient à cause de cette volonté, du dialogue. Et je continuerai de le faire puisque si les Centrafricains m'ont fait confiance le 28 décembre, je continuerai cette politique de main tendue et travailler avec tous les compatriotes qui le souhaitent.
That's all on Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aboroa. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Time for the front pages of the newspapers. We do have public affairs analyst Mr. Simon now looking quite regala. Well, let's introduce him. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much. Do we call him High Chief?
High Chief Professor.
Professor?
No, Chief is too low. Igwe Professor.
Igwe! I don't need all that. I wish you had that.
What of Oboshi?
What's Oboshi?
You mean Oboshi?
So, okay, there's Oboshi, that's true. Oboshi is more.
No, Oboshi is not Igbo. Oboshi might be Delta.
Yes, Delta is not Igbo too.
Delta, not really. You are not fully.
Let's not go into that argument today.
Olive, you are not fully
Let's not go into that
Delta
argument
Igbo. That's what they call them.
Let's not go into that argument today.
It's
welcome,
okay.
sir.
Welcome. Let's go straight to our story.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir, Professor. Yeah. Let's open the papers. We're going to start off first with The Guardian. That happens to be the most colorful paper, I don't know, this morning. Very colorful with so much pictures. It starts off with tax reform risks sluggish, uncertain execution timelines over tardy NSW, page 6. This tax reform, we're back at it again. Federal government introduces new measures to curb WAEC NECO exam malpractices. Obi charged federal government on killing spree over 40 slain in Niger State. Very sad situation. APC draws battle line with Wike over Rivers political control. Southeast to Southwest Alliance shortest route to Igbo presidency, says Kalu. Equities break 100 trillion barriers. 14 firms control 50% of market. I don't want us to waste no more time. Let's just go straight to which story are you looking to touch on? Would you rather touch on the APC drawing a battle line for Wike, or better still, you look at the tax reforms? Which one?
I'll look at the two.
Okay, let's go.
Quickly. Let's start with the tax reforms. You know, when these tax reforms came, there was a lot of pushback. At a point, everything seemed to have been settled. And the two houses passed the bill, sent to the presidency, and the president began to introduce strange elements into the tax laws. It's just because we don't have a National Assembly. It's an impeachable offense that a law is passed and you now smuggle things into it. That's a criminal act. However, they have said they are going to look at it again. And even the things that were introduced, some of the things we are hearing that was introduced, because it was only yesterday or so that the National Assembly said they are going to release both the one they approved and the one that was signed, so that you can see the disparity. If that man in the House of Reps did not notice that.
Honorable Dasuki.
Yes, we would have just had a law that is not actually the past law for us going to be implemented. Right now, there are pushbacks because one of the things that people are even complaining about is that there is a clause that the taxman can pick you up without any, they just feel that you have infringed any of their distance, they come to your house and pick you up without any court.
Although they debunk that though. They continue to debunk that.
Okay, but let's see the documents before we begin to debunk that. All right. Now, at the end of the day, NANS is saying on the 14th, they are going to go on strike. Your president is outside the country and is going to attend a party in UAE that will end on the 15th. So he'll be out when NANS will be.
And NAD too is threatening to go on strike on the 12th, National Association of Resident Doctors.
So you see, at the end of the day, people have been telling the president to see the voice of reason and allow this law to be properly passed. Send it back to the National Assembly. In fact, the normal thing is that even if they wanted to make some changes, they would have sent it back to the National Assembly without signing it and now complain that this clause should be changed. But that was not the case. They went ahead and did it on their own. And that is, like I said earlier, an impeachable offense. But on your mandate, we have National Assembly. Nobody's going to look at that. Now, on the case of Wike, it's unfortunate. He's been overbearing. Now, he claims he's in PDP, although PDP equally claim that they have expelled him. It's neither here nor there. But his influence in APC Rivers State is something that people are looking at. What is wrong with this young man or this old man or whatever man he is, whether he's young or old? What is wrong with him? Because at the end of the day,
he's not a member of
APC. The chairman of APC is saying, look, Fubara is our member and he's number one, he has 001. And Wike is saying he has 001 in his ward. And the chairman of the party said, look, you are not a member of our party. So why will you
cannot choose for us?
Yes.
I mean, and what's your business with what's happening in our party?
Wike is saying you are a national leader. You can't dictate to us what happens in Rivers State. Now, where does that happen? I don't understand this man any longer. Is he confused or what? Because he should know. He should know that the national leader of a party, or the chairman of the party rather, and the national leader, because the national leader is the president, who has tacitly supported Fubara. I think gradually he's destroying his political career. He said it himself. He said, if Fubara wins 2027, that his political career has been buried. So I think the career has been partially buried now. We are waiting for the last funeral.
President Bola Tinubu hasn't officially said anything about the latest regarding Wike, Fubara.
He's dealing with bigger issues. He's dealing with United States.
When he has time and he comes back and he needs to revisit this, how do you suggest that he handles the situation and how do you foresee? So these are two separate questions. How do you suggest and how do you foresee? Because your suggestion and your projection might not be the same.
Yeah. I foresee a situation where the president will just remove him as a minister of FCT. Because he's doing all he's doing today because he feels he has federal backing. Immediately he's removed, he'll be naked.
He'll be
and then it will dawn on him that he's just a man. And he cannot fight.
So you say he's not a man now?
No, he's honorable minister.
He's honorable
if he's
minister.
removed, he'll be Mr. Wike.
Mr. Wike, that honorable will go. And then it will dawn on him that, look, I cannot fight this fight with a governor who has immunity. Matter of fact, you see, whatever you sow, you will reap. If he's removed today as minister, Fubara might decide to make him persona non grata to Rivers State. He did it to Amechi. So it can be done to him. It can be done.
People are saying that
if Fubara has the guts.
People are
he has the
saying,
balls.
and his band, they're also playing this song. Agreement
we
is
have
agreement.
the video. We'll get that video on cue.
So how about Governor Fubara not honoring his part of the agreement? It's gentlemen.
Which agreement? Which agreement?
The agreement is that
the wife of a governor cannot be called first lady. That anybody that is visiting the governor, you must call him and he must approve. Who does that?
I don't know if that was part of the agreement, though.
That's part of the things they were saying.
Some of the things, I think Fubara's camp had released the agreement, which further agitated Wike's camp, and they said who had given him the merit or the audacity to go ahead and ensure that the agreement was put in public. I did see that as well.
All right. Well, Joe is going into that. But Wike was saying he was going to publish the agreement.
Yes, but I think
so. If another person publishes it, what is wrong? Must he be the person to publish it? Recall that he was the person that went ahead to announce that Fubara will resume so when the president had not said anything.
All right, let's get on YouTube and take some comments from YouTube, and also
we have a caller. Emeka is calling us. Let's take Emeka's call. Emeka, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Emeka. Please go ahead.
Yes, my name is Mokoye Chukwu Emeka.
Good to hear your voice.
So good to finally hear your voice.
Yes. Go ahead. Thank you for all you do. Yes, so on Wike's issue, Wike is just trying to stay relevant. And unfortunately, the president needs him and Fubara to help him get back. But after these 2027 elections, I think Wike will lose relevance, and he will just be like every other person living his life, and that's my small contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And happy belated birthday. Was any belated birthday wishes? Thank you for calling.
Like you said, some of us don't have a dog in this fight, because I'm not from Rivers. I'm not a politician, so I don't have a dog in the fight.
You're not for PDP?
I'm not for PDP. I'm not for APC. But let's put these things in perspective. Can somebody be in one party and be controlling what is happening in another party? It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. So what we are saying now is that Wike should tell us where he stands. And like you said, what do I think the president would do? I've told you what I think if I were the president, what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'll just yank him out of that position.
But from what Mokoye Chukwuemeka is saying, he's saying that the president needs Wike. So he believes the president will use Wike up until 2027, and then after that, dump him like a pack of cards.
I can say it succinctly, and you can go to the bank with it. The president will not allow Wike to stay up to the election, and I'll tell you why. Even the Abuja that he feels he's getting, if the president allows Wike to stay to 2027, we will lose Abuja. Because a lot of people are angry
Interesting
with the FCT
there, Professor. Now, we'll just take a pulse for a bit and head to Fez in Morocco, where sports correspondent Udoka Njoku is on standby to tell us about what happened last night with the victorious Super of Eagles of Nigeria. They demolished the Mambas of Mozambique, even though they were promised thousands and millions of meticals by their president. Udoka, good to see you. Good morning. From a very cold Fez. Could you give us an update of what the spirit is like in camp, what happened yesterday, and also a bit of insider gist to the spat between Ademola Lookman and Victor Osimhen?
Right, thank you very much, Benga. Good morning, Benga, and of course, Joe, and everybody in the house. A great win for Nigeria yesterday against Mozambique, 4 goals to 0. We didn't expect that result, but a couple of fans actually did. But also, we thought it was against a lesser team, Mozambique, finishing as the 3rd best loser. Interestingly, it was Osimhen who grabbed the brace in that game, and also he was hungry for more goals. He felt like the ball was not getting to him, and he had to. There was that spark between him and Ademola Lookman. Also, with Wilfred Ndidi, the captain of the side, we saw a video where Victor Osimhen actually shoves the hands of Wilfred Ndidi out of the way when he was trying to calm him down when he was about to take a corner kick against the Mozambique. Well, After the game, we asked Eric Shell. He said, "There's nothing. Whatever happens on the pitch stays on the pitch." We got to the dressing room, they spoke about it, and it is settled. Ademola Lookman was asked the same question, but of course he said Osimhen is his big brother, and of course there's nothing. Their family, and Osimhen is one of the top players in the world, and they respect him. He's the best striker, and he's a go-to man in the Super Eagles. So there's no rift between himself and Victor Osimhen. But fans are not happy with Osimhen's behavior. They've tagged it as unruly because during the mixed zone, Osimhen didn't speak to the press. He didn't speak to the journalists. He actually stormed out. He didn't say anything to anyone. He just walked straight to the team bus. And he doesn't speak well of Victor Osimhen, who has been regarded as one of the best strikers in the world, who has been thoroughly loved by the Moroccan fans right here in Fez. But of course, the coach has said it has been settled. So we're looking forward to Marrakech. We'll be leaving Fez today, heading to Marrakech, and hopefully before the next training for the Super Eagles, then I'm sure they would have settled the issue.
Okay, I think as a final question from me would be, going forward now, what do you think the team spirit looks like, especially in camp? And if you could also touch on the Egypt game, just briefly.
Yeah, of course, for Nigeria, looking ahead of the game between Algeria and DR Congo, the boys are ready. They're saying whichever opponent that they face, we take it one game at a time. Mozambique is done. Looking forward to the game between Algeria and DR Congo, which will go down today. The winner will then take on Nigeria in the quarterfinals, and Nigeria were ready for that game. And for fans, we are hoping that DR Congo will defeat Algeria. Then we have a revenge mission. There's a score to settle because DR Congo sent us packing from qualifying for the World Cup. So there's a score to settle between Nigeria and DR Congo. We're looking forward to it. Whichever team comes, the boys are ready to go.
All right. Udoka and Joko, thank you very much for joining us. Stay warm.
And thank you for staying indoor today. Smoke isn't really coming out of your mouth this morning. And enjoy your stay in Marrakech. You've been in Fez since the competition started, so you'll be changing base. And I hope you still give them the good luck they deserve. We look forward to catching up with you.
All right. Let's now come back here.
Good luck. And,
yeah. All right.
Thank you,
bye. Let's
you.
now come back into the studio because we have a lot to unpack. I want to quickly take a few comments from YouTube. We're streaming live. News Central TV via YouTube is where we're streaming. If you'd like to drop a comment. Now, a few comments here. Impact 223 says, Tinubu cannot afford to be Wike's enemy. Well, which kind of shares similar sentiment to what Mokwe Chukwuemeka had said earlier about him being used up until the next elections. Lilian Oloha says, Wike is politically confused and has finally misruled. It is unfortunate. Olumide Alade says, it's unfortunate how some politicians reduce themselves to loyal servants of the FCT minister. I mean, Okocha and Co. How can a non-member of a party challenge the right of a bona fide member and the NWC? And then Mokwe Chukwuemeka says, Tinubu knows Wike can say and do anything. I don't think he will want to jeopardize his ambition with Wike and Fobra.
These one man, is it that powerful?
Now, if you look at the joker that the president played, you'll recall that before the day preceding the day that Fubara declared for APC, he had a meeting with the president. And that meeting was a secret one. And Wike was not in that meeting. I can tell you for free that the allegiance of the president has changed from Wike to Fubara. Knowing fully well.
Why do you say so with so much confidence?
I'm saying that with a dent of hindsight. That, you see, he knows that the chief executive of a state has control of that state. You see, what Wike is doing is just a storm in a teacup. I can tell you that for free. And in a matter of moment, once he's removed from that position today, he doesn't have anything to contribute. See, he has jeopardized the president's slot in Abuja because of the way he has handled some situations in Abuja. Today, if election is held in Abuja today, I can tell you for free, the president might not win Abuja. If there's a free and fair election, except if they go by their normal way of rigging. If they do a free and fair election today in Abuja, the president will lose Abuja. And it's courtesy of Wike. So at the end of the day, the right thing for him to do is to move him from that position. Otherwise, it creates more confusion for him going close to the election. Don't forget, we are seeing 28, 29 states now becoming APC.
About 30 of them have become APC. So
29 for now.
Yeah, for now.
Maybe because
Plateau State government just joined.
Abba Yusuf was asked to halt. That would have declared yesterday because you know the president is he knows.
He's
the
a
game.
master strategist,
He knows
as
the game.
they say.
So when Kwankwaso was trying to move to ADC, he now said he should halt his declaration yesterday. It would have been yesterday. So as to see where Kwankwaso is actually going. Because the Kwankwasia is still behind Kwankwaso. And allowing Abba Yusuf to go to APC, Abba Yusuf will be a mole.
Yes.
In APC.
Interesting.
That is the,
Wait,
that is the
so
game.
you don't believe that Abba Yusuf will have genuine intentions?
No, I don't think so.
So you don't believe that act of
because he's an apostle of Kwankwaso.
But there was an open show where we saw him sort of warning those who defect. So you think all that is theatrical?
Those things they are politics. See, the Hausas understand this game better than the South. So they know the game they are playing. Some of the people that are in APC today will be a mole close to the election. You know, I said things here and people don't take me seriously. When I was saying we are entering to one-party state in 2024, nobody believed me. Today, it's come to pass. The push has come to shove. So I'm saying it succinctly too, and it resonates with me, that if this guy moves to APC, he's going to be a mole in APC. And the president saw that handwriting on the wall. That's why he said, suspend this movement now. Let's read the game further and see what the going will become at the end of the day. Because if Kwankwaso declares for ADC, forget it.
Okay, thank you.
I want to take the story very quickly because we are wearing Ishagu, and I think it's also an important story. On the front page of The Guardian, Southeast-Southwest Alliance, shortest route to Igbo presidency, says Kalu.
What
he said this at a strategic political alliance between the Southeast. He made this during a series of high-level courtesy visits across Abia State's 3 senatorial zones. Do you agree with him?
I don't agree with him. What he's just saying, you know, he's a member of APC. What he's just saying, he wants the governor to move to APC. It's as simple as that. That's the game he's playing. He has gone to him several times. They have discussed it, and the man said, I am not coming to APC.
I want to remain in LP.
I want to remain where I am, although we know that he might not remain there. Because at the end of the day, the Labour is just like the tattered umbrella of APC now.
Or PDP.
PDP, sorry. Yes. PDP, I'm sorry about that. It's PDP. The tattered umbrella of PDP. The broom of APC is sweeping everything under the carpet. They are sweeping everything under the carpet. So let's watch events as they play out. But let me give a quick warning to APC. There will be a lot of moles in APC going to 2027 election. And when it happens, I'll come back to this studio and tell you I told you so.
Because it looks too good to be true. They seem to be the only ones that haven't had any issues.
That's going to be a lot.
Party, things fall apart. PDP, things are falling apart since. So it just feels like so far everybody's running to.
You know, I said it here earlier. That is the voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. I said it here earlier. Now, you look at it from this trajectory. PDP was the first to start having issues because they are the biggest party, the biggest opposition as we came into this 10th assembly and what have you. They were the biggest opposition.
With Wike at the forefront.
Yes. So at the end of the day, the first move was to make sure that the party was not in alliance. So they destabilized PDP. Immediately they did that, they destabilized Labour. Look at Araba B that was following Apapa. Araba B now made a U-turn to follow Abure. And if you know Araba B's trajectory, that's his move, always. He's a political harlot. And he's going where?
He's watching this.
Let him watch. That's the truth. If we trace his history now, that's the way he moves. That's the way he moves.
So are you saying Araba is not, Dr. Arab is not a loyal person?
No. He has never been and will never be. So he moved from Apapa to Abure. Now, they were part of the plot to destabilize Labour. At the end of the day, now, this woman now came up. What's her name again?
Nanadi Usman.
Nanadi Usman. And then you have these two factions. Nanadi Usman faction is likely going with Obi because she had said that they gave Obi the tacit move to ADC. Now, that apart, this man in Osun, Adeleke, felt that with what is happening in PDP, he needs a safer place. He now moved to Accord. Accord started having issues. When they wanted to form a mega party, their first move was the SDP, if you recall. Immediately they moved to SDP, SDP started having issues. They started going to court. They left SDP, SDP became a bit calm. They came to ADC, ADC started having issues. So you can see that it was just, and that's why some of these people are saying, okay, since this is the way, let's move to this APC and secure our position, and now we can equally do what we want to do. See,
we get what we want.
Yes, even the Bible said, it said the heart of man is desperately wicked. Who can know it? You cannot know what these guys are plotting. Because moving to APC is not the only thing that will happen. Let's go. I've said it here. I can say it a number of times. That going to 2027, you will see a lot of moves in APC.
Okay.
Okay. I think we should be able to take another paper.
The heart of man and woman is wicked, you meant to say.
The heart of
man. When the Bible is talking of man, it's talking about man and woman.
Yeah.
So
because the women came out of the men.
Yes. I wanted you to clarify that. Thank you so much.
Still on the comments on YouTube. Okay, I believe I'm taking this. Impact 223 says, if Wike flaunts his political party now, Tinubu will be in trouble. Fubara can still be impeached. Don't forget that, he says. But let's now go to this Nigerian newspaper. On the front page of this Nigeria, TUC presses for allowance review to engage federal government on new taxes. Venezuela, ECOWAS urges respect for state sovereignty and international law. Tinubu nominates Abe Kobani to NUPRC and MDPRA boards. Wike Lord's president cites Rivers' growing federal presence. Army rescues 13, recovers 27 bodies in Nguru boat mishap. Really sad story there. Terrorists strike again on Kwara Highway, abducting travelers again. Troops neutralized 25 extremists, rescue hostages across theaters, say military. So let's speak on the terrorism here. We see that barely 48 hours after terrorists killed over 40 persons in Borno, Niger State. Now there's another attack on the Kwara Highway. So let's speak on that, because I do not want us to get desensitized and just read it as a headline.
No.
For every time, these are Nigerian lives that are being lost.
They are human beings that are being killed.
They're being kidnapped, rather.
Yes.
Hopefully, it doesn't...
Kidnapped and,
yes.
We had the one that happened in Borno too. You see, what we're saying is that government should buckle up. Yes, they are doing something, but they should do more. The president has given that order that all the policemen guiding big men should be withdrawn. We still see them moving around with those policemen. As I was coming this morning, I saw a policeman guarding a gate with his full police uniform. So what we are saying is that, please, these people that are, there's a proverb in my place. They say if they carry somebody's corpse across your compound, you will think it's a log of wood. But if it is your person that is inside that coffin, you will know it's a human being. Now, let's be our brother's keeper. Let's feel what these people are feeling. Because on the Christmas day, somebody went to church or mosque and they didn't come back. Now, how is that family going to feel? Let's be empathic about it, not just sympathy. And if you have gone to the level of empathy, now you will be able to do more to rescue some of these people. Because I don't know.
I mean, Kwara State has experienced a surge in insecurity in the past months. Unfortunately, regarding this particular issue, there hasn't been any update. And now the reports have it that the Kwara Highway attack occurred when armed men ambushed motorists along the highway, a key route linking communities in Kwara South to the state capital, Ilorin. Source familiar with the incident said the attackers operated freely on the road, forcing vehicles to stop before whisking passengers to an unknown location. This is in Kwara. Now, there are photos I want to call for that will show you the state of some of Nigeria's roads. We had one of our viewers share these photos with us. If our producers can please put those photos up so we can see. Now, these are certain very key roads in Nigeria. These are supposed to be federal roads. They shared this with us and they said the person mentioned Lokoja Abaji Abuja Expressway. Imagine being on this kind of way and a bandit stops you. How do you want to escape?
Exactly.
There's Ewu in Edo State. There's Uromi Ewu, Edo State. There's Ubiaja in Edo State. These videos were sent to us from X by one of our viewers. I don't know if I have permission to mention his name, so I'll just leave him anonymous. This is this deplorable state of the road.
Just a few days ago.
Yes, this is not a long time ago. He made this video on Monday. Yesterday.
I even watched an account of one reporter in one of the television stations that went to Niger and for this Papiri kidnap release. If you see the roads that he passed through, they were so deplorable. And the guy in that report said that he doesn't understand what the minister is saying because they are just gaslighting us. They are spending so much on road infrastructure, we are not seeing the roads. Do you know that people spent 3 nights going to the east during the CL time?
In fact,
I didn't say 3 days, 3 nights, which means day and night. Because, in this side of the world, we say a day is 24 hours. A day is not 24 hours, a day is 12 hours. It's a day and night that's 24 hours. So they spent 24 times 3 on the road.
Just to confirm what you've said, to accompany these videos, this was the message we received. He said, I sent a DM to you earlier in the year concerning the state of our roads, especially from Lokoja down to Asaba. I couldn't get pics and videos because I always traverse that route at night in luxury buses. Well, I'm currently in Ubuluku in Delta State at my in-laws, having arrived from my hometown, Oluwe. I spent Christmas with my family. The roads are still bad? No, they are worse. I live and practice in Kano, so when I travel by road, we take what motorists refer to as New Road. He refers to that as a pass. I left Kano in my car for Abuja on the 22nd December 2025 in a convoy of 2 vehicles. The following day, 2 other vehicles joined us, but the drivers opted to take the old road because the Lokoja, Okene, Okpila, Auchi, Ewu, Uromi, Onichubo axis, that is the new road, was and is terribly bad. Turns out the old road still has its colonial era wear and tear. Agatu, the route from Otukpo to 9th Mile, is hell. I'll be returning to Kano on Monday via the new road and we'll get you videos and pictures. We showed you that earlier. My elder brother and my dad's vehicle went ahead today through the same route. The report I'm getting is that the roads on that route are still bad. At Okpila, my elder brother had to find a panel beater to do some minor repair works on his car before resuming the journey. I'm informed that the road is still terrible, but I'll get you first-hand pics and videos by Monday, God willing. I write these things because it's really sad that we have successive governments that have demonstrated a Sikh aversion. Do we have the remaining parts? That have developed a Sikh aversion to, fixing bad roads in hidden locations down south. This government in particular seems obsessed with Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, while existing roads remain a death trap. Every year, my people, the Igbos, travel home for Christmas. This year is different. Insecurity in the southeast is almost zero, thus making it possible for folks who hitherto avoided travel for over 5 years to return. Good roads will help alleviate the hardship we face when we commute home. And then it goes on to beg to say we should please share this. And that is the report. So in a country that is battling insecurity, we still have to battle this level of roads, this quality. And these are supposed to be federal roads. What a shame.
What can we do? You see, that's what we are saying. Government should prioritize things that are supposed to be prioritized. Now, there's no point building a mega project when the ones that are there already has not been, functioning. The coastal road they are building, is that the only thing that should be done? Look at the amount that is gulfing. the coastal road. Recall that they said that capital projects for 2025 has not been executed. They are going to do 30% by March. So if you don't have those funds, why are you just pumping into one project? And 70% of 2025 budget, well, 2026, so.
And it's a long-term project.
Joined to 2026 budget.
Kilometers.
So what are we saying?
Yeah.
What are we saying? Governments are not prioritizing the things they're supposed to prioritize. That's why we're in this mess.
Right. It's a shame, you know, and we'll expand that conversation further. We'll do a special report on the state of Nigerian roads, even as we battle insecurity. We'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Do have a wonderful day. Jasiri comes up next.